Hi, so there was someone in the Oscilio Discord that was trying to get some advice on some of their games. I was watching their VOD, and I was thinking that this is probably a pretty good video to show you some of the basics and like ideas for thinking about what you should do on Oscilio and like general good fab value advice, good advice on what you should be trying to achieve with your game plan with Oscilio and how to evaluate hands. I think there is some connotation that some people have about Oscilio being very combo focused and some very interesting conceptions as to like how you should block, how you should evaluate value, and I think this game shows a lot of that. So let's try to take a look at it. So it's going to be Oscilio versus RKO, and our Oscilio player is on the play. Now we see the hand. It's Sigil of Brilliance, Lightning Press, E-Discharge, Flittering Charge. This is a pretty good hand. What we probably don't want to do is we probably don't want to attack into KO because we don't want to give them any value on defense, and we don't want to give them any hand filtering unless we're absolutely sure we can push damage through. So the choices that we have available to us are, we can say that they don't have a D-React or they don't have any like defensive tools, and we can go like Flittering Charge and Lightning Press, or we can just say we're not going to do that. We can cycle this E-Discharge because we're probably not going to end up using it either way. Because if we just use it face up, we're going to be presenting face up Flittering Charge for 7, which they're probably likely going to put 6 to 9 in front of. If they have a card like the one block that heals 3, Fiddler's Green, then they try to get exact value out of it. Maybe you can get a little bit more value out of Lightning Press, but they still end up gaining off of blocking and filtering their hand. So the way that we're probably going to end up evaluating this hand is that we're probably going to just like Oscilio cycle this E-Discharge, see what we draw into, and then we're probably just going to set up Sigil of Brilliance and pitch something to Volzar to try to get like our hand cleared out, and then Arsenal something that's like a good Arsenal target. It might end up being the Flittering, it might end up being the card that we cycle this out for, and then we just want to do the cycle mainly so that we're just digging closer to the win con, which is gone in a flash. The Oscilio player, as you'll see, he chooses to come in with Flit, and he doesn't really, we probably want to be trying to gain some information here. We're getting like a little punished here. Because we immediately play the Sigil of Brilliance, and then in response E-Discharge. Like, we're losing a lot of information here, whereas if we had started the game with the knowledge that we were going to have Null Shock in place of this E-Discharge, then we can probably get, like, we allow him to filter a little bit, and we gamble on him having Oasis and maybe getting to filter a little bit more efficiently, but we're able to still, like, send damage that's, like, guaranteed, right? Because now we're able to play Sigil of Brilliance, we're able to pitch one of the cards to Null Shock, and then amp in, then Arsenal something else. We've dug a card deeper through deck, and we have an Arsenal, we have Sigil of Brilliance out, right? And then we're probably presenting, we play Sigil of Brilliance, we play Shock, we Volzar in response for free because we have Sigil. So we're presenting 3 Arcane on their turn 0. Since they're presenting AB1, which I'm not sure if this is correct, maybe it's correct. I don't really know that much about like what RKO is probably thinking on defense. I don't really know what arms piece they would run in place of this. It's probably fine if they're able to disrupt us or stop like 1-point surges, stop multi-surges on combo turns, but we're probably able to force through 2 damage, which we're not really able to do with the line that ends up getting chosen here. So that's a general thought on what happens here. We also, just like rule of thumb, Shock is an instant and it's a lightning instant, so if you're able to like play, if you're gonna Volzar, like also just in general, like always try to Volzar in response to your arcane damage. Like this becomes important in other matchups, but it's just like a good thing to usually do because it gives your opponents like windows to respond, or like if you're like, I've seen people get punished for this playing Goliath, where they'll Volzar, and then because they're trying to play like a normal spell out, they get like leave them hanging in response, and they get very, very punished. When if they had just done like the arcane spell and then they like get leave them hanging, they don't have the card in hand, it doesn't matter anymore, or they can just respond to leave them hanging going on stack with Volzar. But general rule of thumb, really important for the Shocks because you lose a point of damage here from this sequence being taken. And then we also end this turn with like 1 less card, so we don't have anything in Arsenal, which is not great. Like even if they throw CNC here, if we had had like the Flit, like it's like not great if they have the CNC there, but we're not really gaining much value. Like if they don't have CNC or they don't have Arsenal hate, like we're able to potentially turn this L press into other damage now. They unfortunately like have a hand that converts, like they heal 3, they start their turn 2 like quite well up, and then we get to look at this hand now, and it's we're seeing we have Sigil of Brilliance that's going to draw us a card, then we have Sigil of Solace, E-Discharge, Null, Mind Warp. So we know for sure that we're probably going to be able to try to Surge Mind Warp. We can cycle probably the Null, since it's going to end up getting pitched towards nothing anyways. And then we're going to probably try to find a lightning card or something that's like lightning. Like, see, if we had done the turn at the beginning, or like the suggested line at the beginning, we probably would have been able to have kept Flit or another card to be able to convert into like meaningful Mind Warp amp, right? So we would have been able to like play, pitch something to Mind Warp, force them to go down to 3 cards, which I imagine this character is probably still good at doing, so it might not be like the best, but at least this hand like converts like a little bit of value. Like, it's not the absolute worst. We might still end up cycling the E-Discharge or the Sigil if we have to on like the next turn, but yeah. And let's see what happens here. So we get offensive behavior presented to us, and our player decides to pass blocks, and then in response, Oscilio. I think if you're going to do this, we know that the offensive behavior is like going to threaten possibly coming in for like about 6 or 7. I don't remember if its tech starts at 2 or if it starts at 1, but it's going to go up to base 6 damage, so probably taking some damage, but we're going to cycle here, and then we draw into a CLV. So that's pretty good, because now we're able to have something that says like, we're probably going to end up pitching a lightning card next turn anyways. So the possible line that we can do here is we're probably going to let Sigil of Brilliance break on this, let us draw a card. Maybe we're able to draw something that like amps us over to guarantee Mind Warp, but we're probably able to just do like CLV, pitch the Null Shock to Mind Warp, Arsenal Sigil of Solace, which isn't like amazing value, but it's like we're guaranteeing, like we also draw something random, so maybe we're able to take a different line than that. But assuming we draw like a dud that like we have to play out, or we're like we can play the Sigil of Solace out and then Arsenal the other thing instead, but we're still able to keep CLV around and force a card out of hand, because they have to, like, even if we're presenting this only for 3 arcane, they're still being forced to like deal with the Mind Warp, and people usually don't like eating it. I mean, this character might be able to just eat it, especially since they're probably going to create a Might and Vigor token off of this. Yeah, so this hits. So then we get to see what Sigil of Brilliance breaks and draws. It draws a Sigil of Connectivity. So right now, what I'm thinking is this is fantastic, because now we get guaranteed like Mind Warp, right? So we're able to just do Sigil of Connectivity, CLV, hold priority on the stack before Sigil of Connectivity enters the field. Since it's like on the stack and hasn't actually entered the field, Volzar is still like free. Volzar is not free. Volzar costs 1, so we can pitch the Null to it and then Mind Warp. And then we're able to Mind Warp for 5, guarantee like damage, and then they're not going to pitch towards it at all, right? Like, they're just going to take the 5, because if they pitch towards it, they have only AB1. Unless they have Oasis Respite, they're going to go down to 2 cards in hand, and maybe they have a good enough arsenal that they're fine doing that, and then just going like KO, 1 card KO effect, blah blah blah. But then they're only really presenting like realistically somewhere between like 6 to 8 damage. There's 6 to I think 9 with Mocking Blow effect, 10 with Mocking Blow, plus 1, 11, and like you're taking 11 damage, which is not the best, but you're getting to arsenal a card like Sigil of Solace and then keep CLV up for the next turn, and we're able to just like continue maintaining value. Like, this is always going to be able to convert. If we draw Gone, or we draw like things that need instants, this is going to be able to convert, so we're like happy with this for now. But we end up playing the Sigil of Connectivity, letting it resolve. We cycle the Sigil of Solace, and then we draw Etching. So now this turns like much stranger. We've given up a little bit of like guaranteed value proposition, and it's like, okay, well, now we decide to shock, just pitching here. I assume we're doing this because we want to like try to guarantee Etching's value, but I think we could also just do that with playing CLV at this point. Like we don't guarantee, like we lose the CLV draw doing this. We just do 1 damage, which we were gonna get anyways from like just playing CLV, Etchings, returning a Sigil to hand. Like, we'd be able to return Sigil of Brilliance and be able to draw a card off the CLV. Like, even if now we've like played in a way where we don't get to resolve CLV, there's still a way to like make the most out of this like line that we've chosen, right? Now we play CLV, we amp here. Again, I would recommend doing Etchings, then respond with Volzar. This comes in for 6, unless they have Oasis, we're surging. They have Shelter, but they don't have AB2, so again, unless they have more prevention effects, like we're surging. And then we're playing the Sigil of Brilliance. I think we probably want to just Arsenal this, just to keep it around, because if we draw multiple blasts, if we draw other things, then we're able to like play it out. And if not, if like they throw, again, if they throw Arsenal Hate, like instants are great, because then we just go, hey, Sigil of Brilliance, I'm gonna have a 5-card hand next turn anyways. And then sometimes you're able to like just continue cycling with it with this to like try to find something if you're in a tight spot, like with Hat. Otherwise, yeah, that's what I think about this turn. Moving on, we have Blast to Oblivion, Sigil Lightning, Blink. Now this hand is kind of solid. There's like one problem with this hand. It doesn't really convert fantastically well. So there's like 2 routes that we can go with this hand. We can just say we're gonna try to present like 4-ish and just create an embodiment and like arsenal the Sigil of Connectivity. So we can try to like say, okay, we want this hand to be blocking. We have Unknown Draw here, so, or we can try to like dig towards something that like gives us like a conversion on this hand, gives us a spell. We've seen a couple of arcane outlets, so maybe we don't want to rely on the arcane outlet side too much. Maybe we just want to block a little bit and then play towards like a small hand, play Blast to Oblivion, play something that gives us an embodiment and keeps around Sigil of Connectivity. And we have Sync. So if we're expecting any on hits, which like this character could be pretty liable to run some like 2-for-6s that might be on hits, just because it's probably fine for them to just run something like Weakest Link. It's probably fine for them to run something like Erase Face. Like they might not have it, this person might not have it in their list, but if they're like thinking about Oscilio specifically, they might be ready to have that. So we might want to hold on to this to like be able to throw equips and this at it and be able to cover like that 6 pretty well, right? We do have a Might broken, so it might be a little bit more annoying than that to cover if they do just go like 2-for-7. But then they start the turn and like we let them come in for Claw, and we know it's Claw for 4. They're floating 2 resources still, so this probably means that they have offensive behavior, so we probably don't want to sink below this, or not offensive behavior, sorry, outside interference. So they have the thing that tutors a revered attack action card from graveyard or from their inventory, so we probably don't want to put anything on this. I mean, we can if we know like none of the revered cards really have like any significant effect. They could tutor Batter Beaten and Broken, but like they're not going to have any way of turning all its effects on, right? So we can give Sync here to like guarantee value if we want to say that they're like just trying to gamble on like having the outsider, like trying to feint us into it and make us take 4. But I don't think this KO would choose that line if they just had it, especially if they could just throw Sirens at Safe Harbor and guarantee like 4 value plus like a heal, right? So sinking here is like okay, but they probably have outside interference, so we might want to save it, or they might have some things like, because like if they have outside interference here and they have like a disruption piece in arsenal, they could do like Weakest Link, and then you're able to go armor and sink below. Like there's a lot of ways to like defend here, right? And then we decide to sink here, and like that, this is fine. But something to note, when you sync with Oscilio, if you're thinking you're going to end up sinking a card like Blink that's an instant and you have a Oscilio effect active for the turn, you should probably respond to the sync trigger with that first, because our Oscilio here ends up choosing to cycle the Blink, which we could have just done with a Oscilio effect to see what we draw into. And I also think just to be able to make sure that we have like an efficient turn, like we know for sure we're going to probably be able to create an embodiment next turn, right? Because we have this Sigil of Connectivity up right here, right? Like we know we're going to be able to like small card hand create an embodiment in some way. So the Sigil of Lightning is not doing too much for us on our next turn because we know we're going to keep connectivity up. This character doesn't deal arcane, like this is going to stay up for a majority of the game. So we're able to do a small card hand that actually converts value. So then we're going to probably just try to do that instead of cycling Blink here. Like if we cycle Sigil of Lightning here and we draw into like more damage, or we draw into more arcane, or like we're able to like convert this hand meaningfully because we don't have an embodiment already. So we're able to do Blast, Blink, and then if we draw arcane, just use the arcane there, or if we draw like damage, we're just able to do like, we're able to throw Flit, you know? And if we draw like Gone in a Flash, like we end up eating the embodiment, but we're still able to do like Blast to Oblivion, Blink, bounce the Sigil of Connectivity to hand, Gone in a Flash for 4, return to hand Arsenal, and then like carry on. And then we still have like all these the equips up. So that's like what we probably end up thinking. And here, if we had chosen the Sigil of Lightning with all the like line of thought that we were discussing earlier, then Mind Warp is like insane. This is an insane draw because we were holding Blink in hand and we're able to just like on their next turn, if they don't throw like Disruption at us, we just go like Blast to Oblivion, Blink, Sigil of Connectivity, play Sigil of Connectivity again, and Mind Warp. Assuming we don't draw like anything hotter off of this Sigil of Brilliance. So that's like what the general like line of thought would have probably been on Blink. This also ends up being fine because we can probably just play like Sigil of Lightning. Like we probably might have to end up blocking 2 here, because we're going to have a random draw of Brilliance, but we can also just hold it and hope that we draw an instant. Honestly, this might be up to you to decide if like one is better than the other. I would probably hold this in Greed. It might be the greedier line, but I would prefer to do the greedier line. I'm a greedy player. Don't know if that's for everyone though, or don't know if it's even correct. But it's Big Bully for 8. They get booed, yeah. I don't think... So again, this isn't an on-hit. So there's not really a reason to block with equipment here. And then we have Hat, we're like blocking with Hat. So we probably don't want to commit to blocking with Hat in a situation like this because we have Sigil of Connectivity up. And if we're like this is a game where we're like trying to keep tempo and like not let them like we're not letting, we want a combo and then we want to like tempo off that combo into like a kill, and the combo doesn't have to be like too crazy. It can just be like something that forces out most of their hand, and then we want to be able to like keep doing things after, right? So then if they come in with like 2 for 6 or 2 for something, like they come in with card and then pump with KO ability to 6 and like try to like grind this out, if we draw weirder hands after that combo, we're able to use like Flash of Brilliance on the Sigil of Connectivity. So like if we draw a hand that's like several attack actions and a spell, or several attack actions like several blasts or several flits or whatever, and like a spell or maybe no spell, and we need to convert it in some way because we're just going to be doing 4 pass, like block 6, do 4 pass, like we're able to break Flit on the Hat on it to like throw away one of those cards, return Sigil of Connectivity, get an embodiment, and get a lightning instant into hand. And like we're able to convert hands like that way more efficiently when we have that kind of setup. So if we're like hatting here, honestly, there's probably an argument that you like, because like here, if we had Sigil of Brilliance in the hand, like what are we really doing? We're just hoping that we're kind of hitting the lightning instant that we were gonna hit if we like just like if we just like let this pop next turn, but we get like another chance to cycle it, right? Because we get this turn cycle and the next turn cycle. But if we bounce this thing, if we bounce Sigil of Connectivity to hand, we're able to do like Blast Sigil of Connectivity. We're not able to well, we can bounce their Vigor now with this if we've like already committed to this, and then we're able to play like Mind Warp for like guaranteed 5, guarantee a Mind Warp on their hand again, and then like that's like also a line that we can do from this position. We end up choosing to discard this, just draw a card here. This hand's also like this is also like a fine draw, because now we're able to just do like Blast to Oblivion, Sigil of Brilliance, Consigning Cosmos Shock, return this thing to hand, play it out again, and then we're guaranteeing a draw on the turn after. We get to Arsenal the Mind Warp, and then we're doing like X amount of Arcane off of like the Consigning Cosmos Shock. We're doing Blast 1, Sigil of Brilliance 2, Sigil of Connectivity, bounce back to hand, play it again, 3, Shock 4, so we're going to come in with 1 + 4, 5 Arcane, which is like, that's like a fine enough like offhand conversion. That's 9 damage split between Arcane and Physical, and like Arseling a Mind Warp, like with this layout now, like that's fine. Like that's something that we can do, you know? Take 5, and then we're able to just, yeah. We can also just like, yeah, so we do that, and then like, okay, so we know that the draw is like quite bad. We know that we draw into Comet Storm Shock. But like again, this is like the thing that I'm talking about, right? It's like we need to like recognize when we have like good enough value proposition hands. Like obviously 3-card 9 is not fantastic value, but when you're playing a character that's able to turn like a random turn into like a 4 or 5 card like 20, 30, 35, 40, like 3-card 9s are acceptable, especially when the 3-card 9 says like next turn I'm gonna draw an extra card. So it's actually like a 3-card 12, which is like about on rate, depending on how well the card's able to convert. Sometimes it doesn't convert, sometimes it's a 3-card 9 for real. But like keeping that in mind is like really, really important, right? So we probably just want to keep it. And then honestly, yeah, so we're able to do that. And then we end up in this position with Comet Storm Shock, and this is like, yeah, this is obviously not fantastic, right? Like, this is like, we've kind of like lost a lot of the value that we were probably able to get on the previous turn by playing Sigil of Brilliance. And now we're like, we don't even have guaranteed like Mind Warp anymore. We don't have like ways, like we have to give up a lot more value than we were doing before. Like now the best we can really do is we can do like Comet Storm for 5, pitching the Consign, or like we can do like Blast to Oblivion, Consign, bounce the Sigil of Connectivity, like all the lines are really bad with this, so we probably have to just end up cycling this. Like we probably just have to Oscilio Hero this away. Yeah, which we end up doing. We draw an ESOL, which is like also not fantastic. Like a lot of these are not as good as just if we had the thing. Now here I understand why the Vigor looks tempting to take, but just guaranteeing the Sigil of Connectivity, like guaranteeing the embodiment for another turn, will like let us enable more brick hands or more awkward hands to still do damage. Or if we have to keep them small, like they still are able to convert. Like an embodiment on this turn would have let us been able to do like Sigil of Connectivity, or like Blast to Oblivion, Consign, bounce Sigil of Connectivity, keep it like with the embodiment, and then like Mind Warp, Arsenal, Sigil of Connectivity, right? Because we would have been able to hold priority, we would have been able to shock, and then hold priority on the Sigil bouncing back, and then just like amp 2, because we play 2 lightning cards and guarantee a Mind Warp, right? And then have an embodiment, hold the Sigil of Connectivity. Like do you see like the propositions on value become like so much better when we're like trying to focus on things like this, right? But we end up choosing the Vigor. I think Connectivity is probably the better choice, especially since they have so many cards that like taking the Vigor is kind of just saying like, oh, you probably don't have like a card that converts. Like it might end up mattering, but it's probably not going to end up being that great when they're like 4 cards flush, right? And we don't have a way of getting go again, right? And like there's even an argument maybe that like you might just like, I don't think you break Greaves here, but like breaking Greaves here does end up doing you like an extra 8 to 10 damage. It's probably not right. I don't think it's right at like this stage of the game, but there like are like ways to bail yourself out. I probably don't do it. This might be too greedy, like not enough value at this point, and you probably get flashbagged and like get punished. But just like these are always things that you want to be thinking about, right? Like how do these hands convert into like combos? How do these hands like convert value properly, right? And just like doing that at every moment is like vital for playing this character. But yeah, so we get to return the Blast to Oblivion to hand, and then I guess we get to do like Consign here. They sink below, that's fine, they do the sink, and then we're just gonna like shock for 4, and again just remember shock and then respond. Yeah, that happens. Arsenal Blast, that's fine. And now this is what I was talking about earlier with like having the hat up. Like having hat up here or like an embodiment here, it makes this turn like really good. And especially having hat here, because like if assuming they don't throw disruption, and like this turn ends up being 19 damage, which is like a huge amount of value. Like even like if you were playing like normal, like if you were playing like all the lines I was suggesting, like playing like really good value, you're still like eating a lot of damage here. Like 4 card 20 or 4 card 19 is like still a lot coming at your face, right? So what we have to do, okay, so like first of all, like I just don't think we block. Like again, I don't think we're supposed to block this. Like we can, especially like we have to think now, how do we convert this hand to value, right? And like because we lost the embodiment, like we lost like the hat, we don't have a way to convert this really well. So we're probably gonna just be trying to find a way to just send like this blast and like arsenal this gone in a flash in some way. So we probably end up taking a lot of damage no matter what because of the position we're like in. Like we can block all this and then just throw 4, and then we kind of have like, we're kind of just preying on like a good draw, gone in a flash, and a bunch of instants and an arcane ender, and that we live through like the next turn that they have, and like hope they don't have like a lot of ways to deal a lot of damage. Like it's very nice that they hit like 6 resources and 6 die roll. Like this is a very great turn, but we had a lot of ways to like navigate around it, and this turn still doesn't present disruption, right? But if we'd had a hat here, we would have been able to give up the Comet Storm Shock, bring in Sigil of Connectivity, go Gone, Sigil, then like current funnel, we can like threaten them with the mind warp first if they're trying to like flush bag us, because like I think if they're smart, they're probably gonna wait, and they might throw it here to like try to throw off the mind warp there, which would be bad for us, but like mathematically they're probably supposed to wait until after the current funnel results with the way that we're playing the hand. If you're afraid of that, you can also just like resolve the turn in a different way. You can just like do the mind warp earlier, like not structured the way that I'm suggesting. You could play Blast to Oblivion and then like current funnel and hold multiple cards in hand so that you're able to convert, right? Because then if you're holding, you have Blast to Oblivion with Go again, you have the current funnel, you're still holding the Sigil of Connectivity in hand, you're able to like convert to shock if they try to flush bag you. Like you're still able to play a bunch of ways that are like trying to navigate around the problem of this card, right? But yeah, so we end up just deciding to like block with everything. I think we just decide like, oh, we're gonna, I think this also, I'm not sure if, like, I think if we're just gonna end up doing this, we probably just want to we probably just want to like throw Blast, Arsenal, Gone in a Flash, right? Like if they throw Arsenal Disruption, it's sad, but again, like most things are sad when you're like dealing with that, right? And then so then we move on to this turn. Our opponent's presenting looking for a scrap for 5, maybe 6. Probably not going to become 6 because they're only going to get like, I think what, +2 off of this. I think it's 4, so it's going to be 7 damage, maybe 7. And we know that our turn, we know that our like, what we have is we have Blast, Blink, Sigil of Solace, Sigil of Aether, E-Discharge. So we know at least we're probably going to have some way to be able to convert Sigil of Aether, or we can do the thing that I said again, where we're going to just try to create an embodiment. So we're able to guarantee heal 3, and this is probably the thing that's like, it's face up damage, but it kind of relies on us to like be able to show that we're converting something again. So yeah, like the choice of cycle is not exactly easy here. Like again, you have the blink, so you're able to try to say like, I'm gonna find an action here in the position that we're in, and like try to be able to convert like Blast to Oblivion, Blink, create the Sigil of Connectivity in hand, and make the embodiment, and then like have something that you cycled off of that like does damage or does arcane. I mean, alternatively, we can also just like try to guarantee the arcane here by doing like E-Discharge, Blast to Oblivion, E-Discharge, Sigil of Aether, Blast to Oblivion, Sigil of Solace, and like bounce the Sigil of Aether and do like 1, 2, 3 arcane. Well, it's 1 + 2, yeah, like 3 arcane there. Like not amazing value, but like there are a few choices here for like viable cycles. Like you probably end up cycling the Aether here because it's probably the thing converting the least amount of value, and then maybe the blink. Like there's a few choices here that all can make sense. But I think we look at 5, we say that's fine. We probably wait a little bit to cycle just to like keep information from our opponent, because we don't want them to know that like, you know, like I think this is also like a skill that's probably like more heavy experience Oscilio play, or like heavy like on the side playing into Oscilio. Like when I'm fighting Oscilio, you can kind of feel ideas for hand texture if they're cycling very early, and especially if they're cycling at a time that's like in between 2 chain links, like there. Like I think if you're looking at a hand and you're not pressured by anything, you're probably waiting until the opponent's done resolving things, because we don't want to give them too much information on how like if we're cycling, that means we're trying to find something, we're trying to fix a problem, right? So we're letting our opponent know that there is something that we're trying to do with our hand that might need like fixing, and depending on like how we're declaring a box or how we're doing other things, it can clue our opponent in on like how we're like what our turn might end up looking like next turn, right? And I find like a lot of people also just like tend to like look at 4 cards in hand at their instance and immediately Oscilio the moment something goes on the stack, where like preserving information might be more valuable, you know. But this also this changes a lot based on the hero that you're playing and based on like the things that you're dealing with, right? So yeah, and then we get Claw for 3. I think we're fine with that. Maybe we hold this Sigil of Solace again because we're giving information to our opponent, right? Like we might want to wait to give them this kind of information. And like, yeah, they present, you know, 0 for 4, 0 for 5 with the Vigor. That's fine. Sigil of Aether. I think the player was saying that they really had wished they were able to pop it like their own, but I like I don't think you really particularly care about having to be able to target yourself, right? So you have this like you're getting up some guaranteed value, but like you get like really bailed out here because you draw the spell, right? So you're able to do like the player also knows this line. They do this exact line, and like you're able to just like keep Sigil of Brilliance or Sigil of Lightning and Arsenal, like whatever you want to take. You can bring Sigil of Aether back if you want to make sure that you have like an arcane damage outlet the next turn. And like I feel like we haven't seen more than like one or two blasts this entire game, so it's like very likely that we can play to like having like Sigil of Brilliance as an actual arcane outlet on the next turn. But with like I think like Sigil of Brilliance also makes sense because the current like health state of the game, you might want to be able to just be drawing a bunch of cards to be able to like actually recover from this deficit, right? And like here, like look at how like this hand is like so good. This hand is so good. Like if we're able to like live, like we spoilers like we don't end up living, of course, because we're at 9. Well, actually, we do end up living. Well, they're floating too, so there is the threat of pummel, unfortunately, which probably like suggests that, like I think blocking here, like if we block here, they're gonna present pummel on this, so it's just like a max of 12. We put current fall in front of it, so we're taking 12 minus 3 9. Like we're probably guaranteed-ish to die if they have pummel. And unfortunately, I'm not an amazing player, so I haven't been paying attention to how they've been playing around with their arsenal. We know they didn't use it, I guess, on the previous turn with the blow, so we can probably deduce that it's like, I don't know if it's enough information to say that it's like something amazing. I don't think we've also, have we attacked? We did attack, but they did a response from hand instead of arsenal. So like I don't know. This might not be enough information to deduce that it's pummel, but we probably, I mean, we have to end up respecting concealed object, I guess. Like that's like the thing that we could expect them to make because it is like boo +1 damage, so we might just give up current funnel for that, right? And then on our turn, maybe we just do like Sigil of Brilliance from Arsenal, Blast to Oblivion, Blink, try to draw into something, and then Mind Warp, and like try to get tempo back from there, right? Scaling Fleshbag obviously like creates a problem with that. Like it might be awkward to play around it. Maybe you just do Blast to Oblivion, and then Blink and like bounce this thing to hand, and then like try to see if they're gonna gamble on you like trying to do Scowling. But you probably just play the good value line and like force them to give it up at some point. And realistically, like this point in the game, they're probably going to give this up just to make sure that you're not able to like get any tempo back. So you kind of have to end up playing around it. But yeah, like this is just a general overview. Like you do end up getting pummeled. You give up Tunic, which like I think if you're going to give up Tunic, you might as well just give up the current funnel as well, right? Like you're just block 4. Say like I want to get my value, you know, like. Because like the only way we're able to convert this current funnel for more than 2 damage is if we draw something good off like the Sigil of Brilliance, Blast, Blink, right? So we might as well just convert it to 3 value, right? And then if we block 4 here, we like end up living at 1 when they pummel us. We're forced to discard, which is like sad, but we can still do like Blast to Oblivion, Sigil of Brilliance from Arsenal, bounces Conductivity, make a new embodiment, Mind Warp, and like we're like at 1 life, but we present like a card that's like 3 card, I think like 7-ish. I don't want to do the math, I'm too lazy, but like you're still able to do things, right? So anyways, yeah, that's the end of that game. I feel like you can kind of just treat this as like a general primer as to how to think about the hero, like how to deal with like a lot of the things that this hero is doing, right? And like try like remember to evaluate your hands at like every moment, you know, because like there's always like things that you want to be thinking about. It's like how you can like resolve things, and like sometimes like playing like very aggressive on like sinking and like cycling can be like the way that you kind of have to play to win. Like I think like into Dio or Dash IO, like you have to kind of do this because like even if you're presenting like good value turns, if you're not presenting turns that are like killing them or threatening them, you can oftentimes just lose, right? Because they like null time zone you, or they like do something else that's fucked up to you, and like they do like a 3 card fucking like 20 or some really annoying nonsensical things like that, right? But into a hero like KO or Hidden Chi, like if we're not getting hit with like the roll resolve 6 like dice roll 8-2-8, like we're probably going to just get there in like another way, right? Like there's a version, I guess, where they end up having like another 2 for 8, and they do like 888 and they do like 24 damage, but like that's like the very high end of games. Like a lot of times they're going to just be mid-ranging you out and presenting like annoying on hits or like annoying above rate value, but like not above rate in the way that Dio presents it, where she kills you by turn 3, right? So yeah, those are the general pieces of advice on Oscilio. Try to think about your hands. Try to make sure that you're evaluating the value of your equipment and your blocks, and like when you're trying to do everything like that. Yeah, thank you. Bye.